For more than 3 decades, Pam's loved ones wondered what happened to her. They placed ads in local newspapers. They handed out flyers. They walked the streets of Kentucky and Florida looking for answers greater than, but none of them imagined their search would take them back to 1988. They didn't realize that all those years ago a crime had been committed, a life had been cut short, and the only thing left behind was a skeleton in some Florida woods. In the summer of 2025, Pamela's niece reached out to police. She said she was working on a family tree and realized that her aunt matched the description of the Jane Doe from Florida. Greater than she sent over photos of Pamela as a young woman, and detectives compared them to the portrait made from Julie's skull. It was a match. Then came the moment they had waited decades for. Pamela's DNA was extracted from the grave and sent to the lab. The results were conclusive. The X and Y chromosomes, the healed cheekbone, the facial features, it all told the same story. This was Pamela. Finally, after 37 years, she had a name. And now her story could begin. Pamela Leigh Walton was born in Lexington, Kentucky on January 28, 1963. Her childhood home was a double-wide trailer with a porch swing out front. As a kid, Pamela liked to draw. She enjoyed writing poetry and listening to rock music. She also liked to walk barefoot in the grass. But things weren't always easy. Growing up, Pamela's parents struggled with alcohol abuse. One day when Pamela was 12, her father came home drunk and attacked her mother. Horrified, Pamela ran away from home and stayed in a shelter for abused children. From that point on, Pamela felt different. She didn't really fit in. When she started middle school, she changed her name to Jamie Lee, and she told nobody about her past. Greater than it didn't last long. Though after 6th grade, Pamela went to live with her mother and stepfather. They picked up and moved to Lakeland, Florida. And there, Pamela had to start over again. According to friends and family, Pamela was always a sensitive girl. She loved animals. She cared for her grandmother when she got sick. She fiercely protected those she loved. But as a teenager, Pamela became withdrawn and depressed. At night, she would cry herself to sleep. During the day, she pretended she was happy. Nobody understood what she was going through. In the 1970s, there was very little information available about gender identity. Doctors didn't understand it. Schools didn't teach it, and many people didn't accept it. It wasn't until Pamela turned 18 that she learned the word transgender. Finally, she saw a path forward and began living full-time as a woman. Pamela worked various jobs in Florida, including at a Holiday Inn. A friend recalled her boss didn't like Pamela and forced her to wear men's clothing. Otherwise, she would have been fired. Pamela was sad, but she kept working. She wanted to save enough money to travel the world. Perhaps one day she could go to Thailand or live in Europe. But in the meantime, she spent most of her time at home with her cats. Pamela would listen to music, draw pictures, and write poems. Sometimes she would stay up late watching horror movies on cable TV. Friends say Pamela never let the darkness bother her. She believed good would always beat evil. When Pamela was 21, she met a woman named Lisa. The two became fast friends and bonded over their love of the occult. They hung out at psychic fairs, read tarot cards, and attended spiritual healing events. One time they traveled to a small town west of Orlando. There, a blind man named Joshua told Pamela her aura was misaligned. She was carrying pain that needed to be released. He believed Pamela had suffered trauma in her past and she carried it like a shadow. According to Joshua, this pain was slowly killing her. The solution, he said, was to break free from the life that was holding her down and go somewhere new. Start over. Pamela took his advice and moved to Miami. She got a job at a retail store. She lived with a roommate and went out dancing every weekend. At first, she felt free, but soon her old demons caught up with her. Pamela began sleeping late, staying up all night, drinking heavily, and smoking cigarettes. She eventually lost her job and fell into depression. That's when Pamela decided to move back in with her mother. But when she arrived, Pamela's mother screamed at her, saying her daughter was a freak and a disappointment. Pamela packed her bags and hit the road. She had nowhere to go, so she slept in the back seat of her 1976 Ford Pinto. Pamela drove around Central Florida for days. Eventually, she wound up in Claremont, about 30 miles west of Orlando. She parked her car on CR 474 and walked into the woods. There, she made a camp and lived among the trees. Pamela collected wood and made a fire. She ate canned goods and drank rainwater. But after a few weeks, supplies ran low and she had to leave. On September 1988, Pamela's body was found less than a mile from where she camped. She had been stabbed multiple times in the chest. An investigation began, but within weeks, it hit a dead end. Without identification, witnesses, or suspects, the case went cold. Pamela's family never received word that she was missing. Instead, They saw newspaper clippings of the discovery and hoped it wasn't their loved one. For decades, this hope lasted for decades. Pamela's story went untold, greater than after her body was found. The lead detective on the case tried everything to identify the victim. He sent pictures of her to law enforcement agencies across the nation. He even reached out to officials in Kentucky, but nobody recognized her. As the months passed, Pamela's wounds healed, her scars faded, and the bright colors of her clothing worn away. Pretty soon, nobody knew who she was or how she died. It took another 35 years for Pamela's story to unfold. Now, thanks to the work of cold case investigators, advocacy groups, and concerned citizens, her story can be told. Greater than in 2025, Pamela's body was finally released to her family. They held a funeral, and for the first time since 1988, Pamela was called by her name. Greater than since then, Pamela's family has become advocates for transgender rights and equality. They hope Pamela's story will inspire lawmakers to protect the community and ensure everyone feels safe. As for the investigation into Pamela's murder, it continues. Detectives are still searching for the person responsible. Until they find justice, Pamela's story won't end. This case is still being investigated. If you have any information, please contact the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for watching.